after making my recent video. The following day, God had released more information, clarifying what was shown to me a few days ago. It is a blessing and a curse. Being a messenger. The majority have no idea what it's like to have God give us clues, speak to us spiritually, and try to see where it fits into His plan only to be incorrect. All of this has unseen purpose. Confuse the evil enemies and help the sheep complete their final trials of testing. The last sentence of Daniel 12 verse 4. And knowledge shall increase. Spiritual meaning of this. Adam and Eve ate the fruit from the tree of knowledge. That knowledge became part of our DNA, which has been passed down for almost 6,000 years. The ancient knowledge has remained dormant in our DNA, which God has designed to be activated at precise times. Each messenger has been given a piece to the rapture puzzle to be decoded. And then bring it to God's end-time puzzle, insert their piece and etc. As I've mentioned before, I am the last messenger that has the final piece to complete our puzzle and end our journey. In my final video I will further explain who the ones in charge of this puzzle are. For those that don't understand, God does not release all of the knowledge at one time. Do not confuse the deed to the earth scroll that has writing on two sides which Father is holding, with the 7-sealed scroll that Jesus will open, or the rapture scroll that I will reveal. The deed to the earth is the entire story called history. There are two sides that complete history, which is our 7,000-year journey. Side 1 is where our learning began. Not where the story started but where the learning started. Side 1 had Jesus the King. Deliver the biblical truths. Side 2 is my mission. The Queen with delivering the unwritten spiritual truths. Together Jesus and I bring both sides of the story, to complete and end our journey, with the physical merging with the spiritual into our eternal bodies. It is not quite my appointed time but we are close. God does not act without sending servants first to warn and prepare. Joshua was chosen to start the 40-week Exodus invitation, before all of the biblical signs rapidly began to increase. We won't know the correct meanings of the messages until after. The messages have multiple messages within. God knows what He is doing. This is not the first time this story has been read. None of you know the spiritual truths yet to understand the entire journey. Biblical prophecy is events and patterns with numbers. The same rules apply to the spiritual prophecy. Both are converging for the end times. Our DNA has markers that activate events. I was presented the Rapture scroll in a movie June 2022, which triggered dormant knowledge to be activated, released into my brain and eventually decode the scroll. I didn't understand why I was given the scroll. What I was meant to do with it, as I am not religious. To fulfill my role I could not find God in a church or book. It had to be the reverse, looking inwards. I found God first and as I understood my role found Jesus. My life is the scroll. Only I can solve and deliver God's missing final words to the world. The decoding came through 3 huge clusters of events. A pattern developed. I saw a number in my life that kept repeating since 2003. In 2018, that number was then confirmed in the entertainment world in a way that I would understand. 2021, I saw the second set of numbers in my life, then again confirmed in the entertainment world. 2022, God presented the scroll to me. I was gathering all the pieces that would ultimately help decode the Rapture scroll, when God revealed my mission. We are all entwined, helping each other complete our learning. I needed Joshua as I was unaware of the Rapture. The next and final event to occur in the scroll aligns exactly with the final 7-year tribulation. God is going to end the dominating male divinity that began when Eve and Adam sinned. There are 3 groups of humans on earth at this time. The sheep that are about to complete their journey, the goats that need to finish learning, and the wolves, which are the wicked that God speaks of in the end times. This will all make sense soon. The dominating male was needed to teach us what happens to the family when one divinity steps out of their balanced role. The dominating male is ingrained with power, greed, selfishness, entitlement, ego, few emotions, and abuse for personal needs like a wolf. Side 1 of the story. King Jesus was physically abused by the narcissistic Antichrist dominating male behavior. Side 2, the Queen Mother was physically, emotionally, psychologically, sexually, financially, and situationally abused by the Antichrist's behavior. The next event in the Rapture scroll is to end our journey by ending the dominating male divinity curse and current system. What unfolds in my life, then is confirmed in the world. God placed a wicked wolf in my path, that has committed all 10 commandments against me and his children. It is no mistake that I had 2 male children last. The wolf scorned me with all of the narcissistic abuse and did so with a harlot prostitute. The wolf took everything from me, replaced, and disposed of me like garbage. The wolf is devouring my eldest male child, brainwashing that evil is good and good is evil. This is exactly what takes place in Revelation 12. The serpent dragon is waiting to devour the male child as soon as he is born. To indoctrinate and ingrain the narcissistic behavior, to keep the cycle of Satan revolving. It took Watchman Ezekiel 3 to give me a second confirmation for my appointed time. The video connected Joshua's Exodus start date, that told me when I would be surfacing. I knew Joshua and myself were the 2 servants for the rapture, that were aligning spiritually above with my role, and physically below with his role. God has shown me an event that will restore what was taken while I was being forged and refined into my role. I was letting go of the materialistic items of this world, as the wolf was displaying his refusal for fairness, power, control, greed, selfishness, lover of self-pleasures, boasting, lovers of money, lovers of materialistic items, using the children and anyone as pawns in the path. All while committing sin, both being married and living in my home. No morals, no conscience, no family values. I have much to share. The rapture is all connected to history, not only repeating, but this time reversing, as the learning will end where it began in the garden. I'll reveal shortly where the training began. The number 2 is connected to the second coming. Trump may be disgruntled with 2020 election results. However, being elected for a second time had to align with God's story, not the role Trump thinks he was chosen for. Trump's ego will be used to end our journey, and my children were used with me to start a new journey. The day after releasing my last video, the message was clarified. I did not date set, rather said our exit day may be solved and potential events could take place. After rereading Revelation 12, I realized that the male child must be born first as written in the story, before taken to the throne. In my head, I was birthing my children for a second time into the new heaven and earth. Following the story, the male child being born is actually when my son will be returned to me. I have to wait for the symbolic birth, which is June 29th. The mother is saving her male child from being taught narcissistic behavior, which is the Great Reset. Trump's version of the Great Reset and Golden Age is the opposite of what God has planned. All of this is dependent, of course, with September 23rd being the conception date, and God following the pattern with the number 40 for times of trial and testing. It is no accident that my wolf is exactly like Trump, right down to being American. God did this as it was to help me see the pattern and the dirty rules the narcissist uses. Further understanding Trump's role. Trump is Satan's little helper that was used by God to set up the tribulation stage. Trump and MAGA are being used to lure the wolves and goats into the Antichrist snake pit. Those that are being left behind. Once my sons are freed from their wicked wolf serpent dragon, I will announce this, as that is my appointed time. Recapping my role. All of us, every single human, is playing a role in a story that is alive. We are acting out the end days. Some of us are playing main characters. The entire world, intentionally planned, has overlooked one character as being a human. There are 2 women in Revelation 12, verse 1 to 5 is me, one above that is symbolically pregnant with child, and one below which is Israel, the remnant of her seed. There is an invisible bridge between us, the Antichrist, Jesus, and our new heaven earth. The Antichrist rules this world with his abusive, narcissistic, backwards behavior, with institutions designed from the same ideology. Awakening is a sign that the journey is ending, that the government is actually the enemy, as left and right wings are both attached to the same serpent system. May 3, 2017, Revelation 12 sign appeared in the heavens. 8 years, 8 months, 8 days later, May 31st, the Revelation 12 human. The pages to my scene opened. The queen player arrived on the chessboard. Many pages are opened as multiple events are converging. Jesus is not touching ground for the rapture, we have to ascend to him. The sheep that are leaving was determined before birth. As the sheep receive their spiritual divine mark, the flock has been gathering at the bridge with me. I had to be prepared well ahead of time with my script, as it will be fulfilled quickly. Similar to the Truman Show. We too are starring in a story that God is the author of. God has my appointed time aligning as the biblical signs are falling into place. Jesus arrived on the clouds June 21st. In between peace and safety being said and sudden destruction there are birth pains. There are 3 events in 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 3. The birth pains has the baby delivered, but there is a hidden great awakening event that will take place. This event is needed for all of the graduating sheep, to receive their spiritual divine mark needed to ascend. Once every sheep has their mark, which is signaled to me with the male child birth and return of my son, this is when I'm to be heard worldwide. The Antichrist then battles with Michael and his army. While the battle takes place, the light team of righteous sneak past the Antichrist. The Queen Mother is leading the children to the King. The invisible divine mark is seen by Jesus, which allows us to transition to a spiritual body like Jesus and ascend to him. Jesus then takes us home to the new heaven and earth, where the wedding and graduation banquet awaits. I'm telling the world the unwritten order of events for the rapture. The world could not know of my existence and purpose, as it is a trick against the Antichrist to remove him, and trigger the tribulation for the wicked being left behind. There is much more to the spiritual truths that will conclude our journey. For our learning to be successful, the greatest deception was that we deceived ourselves. Our higher souls are in control and fully aware of our learning on earth. I'm waiting for the great awakening, that is different from the sudden destruction. Once this takes place, I will know for sure when our day is, as it will align with patterns that I have not shared yet. I have the time and how that plays into when souls will leave. I'm exhausted with watching all the pieces connect and waiting to complete the picture. 28 months I have wept for my children. I feel like I'm playing a spiritual game of chess. The most powerful player has the greatest move, and can't make that move to call checkmate on evil, ending the game. Not to dismiss what Jesus went through, but I would much rather have had his suffering for 3 days versus 28 months. God uses a mother's birth pains to describe the events that will be experienced during the tribulation. Those left behind will learn what happens to a mother when her children are taken by man and institutions. Those left behind will feel the agony a mother feels physically, emotionally, mentally, psychologically, financially, and situationally. The controlling, selfish, greedy, will be punished, and learn what it was like for the poor, the abused, the oppressed, and the struggles they had when there was plenty of resources. The master of narcissistic behavior, the Antichrist himself, will now do to the wolves/goats what was done to others, and learning what you failed to learn when the restrainer was here. How you treat others matters, on earth as in heaven. If you are destroying the queens and children now, your families, then you are not ready to go to heaven. Once the child is symbolically born on June 29th, my children are returned, the flock have gathered with their mark. I surface to announce our day and time. My final video will have everything laid out to bring our story together and end. Never again will the male divinity become dominating. The survival of our new eternal family relies on every soul learning here on this earth. Mother knows best that the children must learn before leaving this earth nest and entering into the universe of God's kingdom. When the great awakening takes place and many are still looking up for Jesus, it is at this time that humanity will share me. All will be screaming for God, looking for answers. I'm warning and preparing those ahead of time, those that have eyes to see and ears to hear. With the male child being born June 29th, the World Cup ending on July 19th, me finally sharing what I can for now. Our flight should take place within 22 days. The key event besides physical events/signs is me screaming it's time. Mom is not being raptured without her children. God gave me a September 23rd rapture dream with my children going with me. God did this to keep me silent until my appointed time. If I surfaced before the end time, now that I know my delivery date, my children would stay behind. It is time for me to start coming out of hiding and protection. Trevor Woods shared a tidbit today with when Ruth, the firstfruits bride, goes to Boaz. Ruth approaches Boaz while he is threshing his grains. This is parable to the spiritual great awakening, the separation of the sheep from the wicked evil serpent dragon wolves and lukewarm goats. Those awake know what signs are appearing with the fig tree, first harvest and summer. Wars and rumors of wars, etc., and will not repeat. Please watch other channels regarding scripture, as that is their piece. I'm here to reveal some of the spiritual truths. Warn and prepare the sheep that the heavenly Queen Mother is here, ready to fulfill her role. We wait for me to announce that all 4 of my children are back with mom and ready to go home with all of you warriors.